how cute this cupboard is. My partner got me this. Who else loves dogs? These taste like vocal tarts. Seriously, you have to try them out. They're really good. Hi and welcome back. Happy Sunday. This is episode 6 of the Pick Me Up series. I cannot believe it's gone so quickly, honestly. Thank you so much for joining me, and for those that have just joined me, welcome. And I hope you can take from these episodes as much as you can. I'm not a medical professional. I just know what it feels like to be in a place where everything just feels pretty helpless and you just don't really know where to go and what to do to kind of start your journey. And everyone's got their own unique journey. So you may hear things I say in my videos that you don't necessarily resonate with, but there's some that you do. That's the whole point. Taking it on there and knowing that you're actually one step further to becoming a happier version of yourself, one step at a time. So the title of Journey to Self-Love is kind of a tricky one, because self-love, when I first heard it, I thought this is just bullshit. Like, who can tell me what self-love is? That's the whole point. And that's what's so ironic in regards to this particular video, because kind of prepping for it, because I don't know everything, kind of was like, well, how do I say this to an audience? How do I say this to people that get it? How do I say it to people that, like me, when I was in a place not knowing where to go, feeling really shit about myself, and not actually having that conversation where I was willing to listen to someone saying to me, this is what you need to do to fix yourself. And that's the one thing that anyone that's watching needs to know too. You don't need to be fixed. There's just certain things which is going to keep cropping up in your life, and if it does, that's perfectly fine. There is no such thing as perfect, and I think that's what's missed when you are seeking help, is that you should never feel down, should never feel like it's a hard day. You should be able to do that, because you are a human being who has been through a lot. Whatever has caused you to become willing to adjust certain things of your life to even get to my video and come here today and hear me speak about whatever I've got coming, just know that that takes a lot of strength. And the one thing I will do is I will ask of you just to embrace what I'm saying and just take it on for what you wish for it to be for you, and just give it a go and see how you get on with it. The first thing I would suggest that you do is recognizing and accepting your emotional state. Whether that be you're just upset, you wake up one morning, you just don't know what's wrong. Allowing yourself to feel, allowing yourself to just go through the emotions, and just allowing people around you to kind of give you that space and not expect them to know exactly what's going on with you. I've been in an environment before where I didn't exactly know why I was feeling the way I was, and subconsciously I assumed that me being in that state of mind was navigating the room around me, when really that wasn't the case at all. I just had to allow myself to just excuse myself from the situation, go somewhere where I could take a breather. And if anyone was to recognize that of me, if I wish to share, I'll tell them how I felt in that moment and move forward. Never apologize for how you feel. Only it depends on if it hurts somebody else. Taking care of yourself is number 2, but it coincides with number 1, because when you're more aware and when you're recognizing how you feel on a day-to-day basis, you're more likely to wake up one morning and say, this is the situation I'm in right now. This is what I need for my mental health. This is what I need for my self-care. I need to go out for a walk. I need to go and see whoever I need to see just to get my mind of how I'm feeling. I would recommend you do get better sleep, because that would also tally in with the other situations of feeling quite run down and burnt out. Those sort of things would help if you had better sleep. Making sure that you eat better, making sure that you exercise to get those endorphins. Those are the things which people would normally say to you to do, but I personally believe that when you actually realize that what you're doing doesn't necessarily have to be a burden on you, just breathing can sometimes can be really difficult. So taking your time, taking those steps, and just realizing that actually when you're in an emotional state, allow yourself to feel that way and don't ever apologize for that emotion you've got. So those are the 2 points that I thought coincide with each other, and they kind of have a love-hate relationship as well. So when it comes to recognizing how you feel and also the self-care, once you've recognized that you need self-care and that you're not going to apologize for how you feel, both of those will be the match made in heaven. And you'll find that actually that is the first step that you can do to help yourself with your self-love journey. Number 3, using self-talk. So by now I should be married, I should have children. I don't have either of those things. I'm in a loving relationship and we want children. What the society consider you to be the norm isn't necessarily what should take place. And that can be so difficult, especially if you have this idea of what you should be doing at this particular time in your life. And that can be quite indicative to your thought process and your emotions and how you feel day to day based on someone else's opinion of you. I cover this in the self-confidence video as well. Find that that is also something that can contribute to your self-love journey. Making sure that when you are in an environment where you're not necessarily feeling comfortable and having an emotion that you're not necessarily familiar with, having that self-talk with yourself to say, okay, this is what's going on right now, try it. It may actually help your subconscious become conscious, and then you're more likely to have more control over it. Number 4, I would consider this to be quite, I wouldn't say difficult because it's down to the individual, but forgiving yourself for whatever has happened in the past. And I've had circumstances where I've had to forgive myself based on how things have turned out. It may not have necessarily have been my fault, but I was involved in that for it to take place, whether that be an argument, whether that be the outcome of a decision I've made and not necessarily thought through. It could be work related, it could be family orientated, it could be friends involved, it could just be a stranger. Anything could have happened where you find that your emotions contributed to the decision or whatever took place in that moment. Regardless of what happened then, you can't change it. You cannot go back in time and change it. If there was a time machine, I think this world would be very confusing. There were a lot of things that have happened, lots of people, how strong someone is, how compassionate someone is, what their morals are, comes from experience, from their family, from their ancestors. Everything has a reason for it. So if you're willing to go back there and think, well, it happened and I'm at fault, and you're just making yourself feel guilty over and over again. Now, bearing in mind, I don't know your story, okay? I don't know necessarily what's taken place, but for an emotional perspective, not necessarily physical, there has to be a conversation that you need to have with yourself, and just realizing that embracing self-compassion can really be soothing. Allowing yourself to just be in the moment, realizing that it happened, that can be a strength in itself. When I don't know if you've ever met someone like that, but if you are someone that has not met an individual who has hurt you and not recognized they've done that, but if they've recognized they've done that, what has taken place doesn't feel as bad. There could be scenarios where you don't necessarily feel that you're in control of something, but all I can recommend you do is just realizing that actually what took place there and then is done. It's happened. We're moving forward. Your actions that happen now matter more than what happened in the past. Having that conversation with yourself, and then you realize that the love that you have for yourself, or the lack of love that you've got for yourself right now based on an experience you've been in that you feel like it's your fault, there's a reason why it's called the past. And unfortunately, anyone that experiences anxiety, anything to do with the past or the future, is anxiety ridden. It causes anxiety because you just don't have control over it. But what you do have control of is the present. And I cannot say that enough. That has helped me massively. I practice that pretty much daily because I'm a warrior. I want to make sure that the future is taken care of. I hear those words come out my mouth and I think to myself, I don't have control over that. The only reason the future exists is based on what I do now. If I don't take care of myself, I may not be here in the future in 2 or 3 years' time. Not literally, hypothetically speaking. If an individual doesn't look after themselves now, in 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years' time, that story will be a lot different. So I make sure I look after myself now in the present. So the future's more likely to be brighter, happier, healthier. That's the most important thing. The past is the past. You're different now than you were a year ago. Something for the first time and you don't have the confidence to have that conversation with yourself and realize that actually you are amazing and you can do whatever you put your mind to. As long as I can assist somewhere and as long as someone out there can be able to hear this and realize that actually it's not about that anymore. It's living a better life so that you can be part of the next generation and moving forward in this toxic world that we're living in right now. So the 5th thing that I find is really useful is commitment to self-love. Not instant gratification, like, oh, you know, I've spent 30 minutes in front of the TV tonight, so that's looking after myself. It means to be mindful and dedicated. And once you have mindfulness and dedication, those are the keys to success, regardless of what you do. As long as those two are in line, you are going to get where you need to be in regards to your self-love and self-care and how you wish your life to move forward in your surroundings day in and day out. And the final thing that I would say in regards to this video is just learning more things about what you like and dislike, exploring things. It doesn't have to be big things. It might just be cooking. You might like a certain flavor. Like doing these videos, I've learned that I like baking more. I didn't think I did. I just find it a bit monotonous, and cooking is much easier in my opinion than baking, because baking, if you don't use the right flour, the thing just turns flat. But with cooking, you can cook and eat and taste as you go along, and you can adjust the taste accordingly. But once you've baked, once it's in the oven and I was about to say grow. Once it bakes and cooks and rises, that's it. That's it. But what I'm actually getting at is just learning things that you wouldn't necessarily do before, and just having more of an interest in doing things for yourself and exploring, because that will spark an interest that you enjoy and love and do. And who knows, you might be starting a YouTube channel soon. Who knows? But all I can say is I hope that anyone that's watched this has enjoyed it. Please do give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Press that bell, blah 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 blah. You get the gist of it. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. And thank you again so much for watching. Take care and bye.